join today's webinar. This is the March installment of our Value Added 101 webinar series. And this is a monthly series, free webinar series designed to explore many aspects of the value-added food production and product development journey for deep dives into how food entrepreneurs can transform raw ingredients into unique marketable products. And so some of you have joined previous sessions. We've explored different topics around the food industry. And I'd be remiss to forget to introduce myself and my team. My name is Haley. I do product development here at the Wahiawa Value Added Center. I've worked with a lot of you here in the audience before. We have a state-of-the-art shared commercial kitchen. We do client services, including business development and product development, as well as educational programming like this. We have Naomi Blue Summers, our operational colleague on the chat in the Zoom room, as well as Kelsey, our marketing specialist. So some housekeeping for today before I introduce today's topic and our guest is, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A or the chat, and we will get to them all at the end. We'll have about 10 minutes saved for Q&A. So with that, we will deep dive into the world of flavor innovation today. It is a crucial and key element in creating products that stand out and resonate with your consumer, and can be commonly a differentiator for a category that where you're not the only one. And we are honored to have Emmanuel Laroche, who's the VP of Marketing and Consumer Insights at Symrise North America. And it is a global leader in flavor innovation for the food and beverage industry. Emmanuel is born and raised in France and has built a career exploring the intersection of taste, culture, and consumer trends. And in addition to his work at Symrise, he is also the host of a popular podcast called Flavors Unknown, where he engages in deep conversations with acclaimed chefs, pastry chefs, mixologists, and others about their creative processes in the culinary world. He's also the award-winning author of the book Conversations Behind the Kitchen Door, featuring 50 American chefs, chef chart today's food culture, offering a behind-the-scenes look at the minds shaping modern cuisine. So in today's session, we will share insights on emerging flavor trends, the science, creativity behind flavor development, and how food entrepreneurs like yourselves can utilize these information. And with that, I will hand it over to Emmanuel and kickstart today's presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, can you hear me? Well, yes. Okay, very good. Thank you for the introduction. I guess I don't have to say anything anymore. I'm going to use you as my hire you to as you. I'm a publicist. Very nice. Hi everyone. So I'm going to share my screen, then we can start. And you tell me when you see everything here. Do you see my screen? Yes. We good? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yep,
I'm going to. Sorry, I cannot see you guys anymore, but I am going to, close my window. So yes, so great to meet you all. I was in fact at the Innovation Center not too long ago. A few weeks back, I was in and the chance to be in with Chef Roy Yamaguchi at the Innovation Center, met Chris, yeah, that was a great experience. And I, in fact, going back in October with some of our customers. I'm organizing like an event in Honolulu, and we'll go to the center again. So I'm excited about this. So you can tell from my accent, yes, I am not from the US, even if I am American, but I am French and American. So born in France and moved to the US in 2002. So it's going to be 24 years. There's been already a quick introduction, but yeah, I have the pleasure to have launched a podcast called Flavors Unknown, you see on the left, in 2018. So I've launched, in fact, last week, episode 180 something. I publish it every other week. And I had a few, in fact, chefs from Hawaii on the podcast. So Chef Roy Yamaguchi, but as well Chris Kajioka from Miro, Sheldon Simeon from Maui, Vikram Garg. And then when I was in Honolulu a few weeks ago, I had an interview with Mourad Lalou from Leila, the new Moroccan restaurant. And then I had as well an interview with the couple, Chef Wade and Michelle. So that was a great conversation. It's not published yet, but it's on its way. And yes, I published a book called Conversations We Had in Kitchen Door in 2022 that you see in the middle. And in fact, I'm going to publish my second book. It's scheduled for September 9th, and it's going to be about another island. It's Madagascar, which is really the source of vanilla. So I had the chance to have a first trip in 2022, and then I went back in 23. And I took some American chef, in fact, to the island closer to the vanilla source. So I'm excited, in fact, the publication of this book coming up in September. But we are here to talk about something else. We're here to talk about the world of flavors and, how, in fact, people like yourself, can look at it, understand, food trends, what is a flavor, what different type of flavors are out there, and then, in fact, how to leverage and engage with consumers in order to better understand what they are looking for. So let's get into it. So introduction, the company I work for, it's been 30 years now. So I guess I like the culture, otherwise I would not have stayed 30 years. 7 years in Europe and the rest here in the US, based in New Jersey. So it's completely on the other side. And we are historically a flavor company, expanded flavor company that now touch not only taste, but a bit nutrition and health, where we are looking at different solutions, for major company, because we are, as you can see, a global company. We have more than 8,000 people working for the company and in different location of the globe. So we work with a lot of global customers. So the Pepsi Cola, the Coca-Cola, the Danone, the Unilever, and so on are obviously parts of our, of our big customers. We offer, in fact, flavors, natural taste ingredients, what we call taste balancing, which is the idea of using natural flavors, but have some properties in order to help people reduce sodium, help people reduce sugar, help people adding a little bit of mouthfeel as well, in the product. And this is, in fact, all the category that we are engaged with, and we have flavor or seasonings, for those certain applications like snacks or culinary, let's say charcuterie, for instance, something like that. So I have a first question for you because, I know you're going to ask me questions, but I like to have an idea of who is, in the room, and I cannot see any of you because I'm on the presentation mode. So you have this QR code on the top left. So if you don't mind, is to just use your phone and scan the QR code, and you are going to see that question, popping up. And I want to ask you, which category of product that you guys are involved in. So you have a long list. Hopefully you see it. And then I should see on the top, here we go, people that are answering. So one person took two, here we go. So I see as well the result. So here, so three people, okay, a bit more. An agency, salty snack. Okay, very good. I'm waiting for a few more. Sauce and dressing. Okay, so bakery, plant-based, nut. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. So let's see now. I should see. Hello, where's my? Here we go. So I am going to start talking to you about trends, and trends are very important for us to follow. And because any interaction that my team has with customers are most of the time around trends. I'm leaving after this call on a plane to Boston. I'm going to spend time with a beer company there, and we are going to talk about trend tomorrow. So because they want to understand a bit more, what happens, in their category of alcoholic product, low alcoholic product, and so on. So that's our day-to-day. So we spend a lot of time on trends. I'm going to give you only the top line because I could spend few hours on it. And what we do is that every 3 to 4 years, we have a global research on trend with different hotspots around the world. So in the US, of course, New York, San Francisco, and usually we take a third one that we rotate. We do a lot of interviews with influencers, with food journalists, but we do that in Shanghai, in Paris, we do that in Sydney, we do that, in other part of the world, of course, in Brazil and in Mexico City. And we take all this information, and we have seen that mega trends that you see, like the circle on the top, do not really change a lot from 1 year to another. That's why we are doing it every 3 to 4 years. But we do a yearly North American trends review, which is in fact the detail that you see underneath. So when you look at trend in general, when it comes to food and beverages, you can cluster them in those 4 buckets. First things is about health and wellness. We call it healthy lifestyle. Then after that, it's all about naturalness. So it's what nature is giving us. It's nature goodness. Then there is everything which is leveraged and upgraded. It's usually premium indulgence. And then the fourth one, we call it emotional discoveries. It's difficult to find a word for that one, but it's all about like multicultural, influences, global flavors, and as well everything which is around the emotion, like nostalgia, for instance. So we have seen that those 4 trends really drives the market. And then you see the details underneath, and I'm going to go a bit more specifics, for those trends. So when you look at healthy lifestyle, which is interesting, and the coding, if you see on the top, you see those 3 circles. The first one means the culinary world. The second one is the sweets, obviously, and just including bakery. And then the third one is beverage. Okay, so sometimes it could be alcoholic, sometimes it could be non, sometimes it could be coffee, drinks, and so on. But that's the 3 major, let's say, food categories that incorporate, all the subcategories that exist. So when you look at it, in fact, we have a big trends, which is, so there's 5 sub-trends, in there. So the first one is, we call it booze, replicated and elevated. So we see a lot of trend today, which is about low alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic drinks, and using flavors and natural ingredients, in fact, to make that experience complex. So we are not into trying to make a non-alcoholic version of a traditional, I don't know, margarita, for instance, or, another classic cocktail. But now we see in bars around the country, non-alcoholic menu. We don't call it mocktails anymore. Mixology thinks it was kind of derogative, so it's like non-alcoholic drinks, but they have concept of non-alcoholic drinks, very complex and layered, on their own. That can even include, some botanicals and some, some interesting, even flowers and blossom. The second one is obviously the idea of protein. And we see now that protein expanded. We see a lot of new trends around seafood, which is, fairly new. So that's, something interesting. And then the third one is about boosted benefits. So functional and functionality in, across the categories are a big trend, or is a big trend. And it's really driven by a younger generation that want to have, so you're going to hear me several times using the term Gen Z, which is, the younger the younger generation, and they really are looking for functional benefits, in the food that they are consuming or the beverage they are consuming on every day, and not relying on dietary supplement, let's say from older generation, like baby boomers, have done in the past. Um, for the fourth trends, we call it indigenous vegetarian cuisine. So obviously, plant-based and vegetable at the center of the plate is, here to stay. Now, which is interesting is we see now that people are looking at country that had vegetarian cuisine, like Southern India, for instance, part of their culture, and they are looking at inspiration coming from there. But not only India, we see Ethiopia, and Trinidad, for instance, as another example. And then the fifth trend on the healthy lifestyle is looking at some benefits from a sweetness standpoint from the ingredients that are in the recipe of the product. So trying not to add too much sugar, or sweetness, on top of it. So it's naturally sweetened from maybe using almond flours or using pistachio or sesame, for instance. So, I wanted to ask you questions here, just for me to have a little bit an idea. So if you want to scan again, I'm going to ask you that at each slide on the trend. If there is one of the trends that we went through that particularly resonates with you the most, that will be interesting. So if you don't mind answering. And if it's none of them, then you pick none of them. I can understand that as well. I guess I have to click when you're done to see the result on this one. I think maybe I program it differently. Okay. You good? Okay, let's go. So let's go, but here we go. So boosted benefits, okay, and then natural sweetness baked in. Great. And then after that, the other booze. Okay, very good. Thank you. So let's go to the next one. The next one is the premium indulgence. So again, you'll see on the bottom which category resonate the most with the trends. You see at the end, for instance, 4 and 5 resonate more with beverages. So the first one is the next level of indulgence. And we see that in very interesting ingredients that are, used. So we have seen octopus being much more on the menu. We have seen uni as well, like sea urchin, as well being used. Pork belly was a trend from, a few years back, but now we have seen lamb belly being, considered, or oysters being really part of interesting menus with specific recipes, around oysters. So that's the next level of indulgence. Then we have on premiumization the luxury, comfort food. So the idea is looking at comfort food, but elevating like a specific ingredients, in the recipe of the comfort food. So we have seen, for instance, in some areas, hot dogs using croissant dough, for instance, instead of the normal hot dog buns. That's the way when I'm saying, like premiumization of, comfort food. Then we have nature's perfection. So that's interesting because not too long ago we had the trend that was ugly fruit, which was or ugly food, but specifically ugly vegetable, ugly fruits, where that was all about sustainability and still the case. But that now we have seen product that are out there that in fact really glorified almost like the perfect shape of and ripe stage, of the fruit. That's a trend that comes directly from Japan that in fact are influencing now the US. Then we have on the beverage side, you see a floral cold brew. So obviously, if you have been to, getting some coffee in your third wave coffee shop, you have seen, lavender being, on the menu, but there's much more than this now. And there's more blossom and other botanicals, that are used to elevate, coffee. And the last one on this trend is cultural cocktail fusion. So that's really this idea of blending, different influences of flavor from different background for making, cocktails. Things that will not exist, if you travel to one specific destination, but it's really mixing different destination into a cocktail or an alcoholic drinks. So here's the next questions is which of those trends that I mentioned resonate with you on the premium, um, you know, premium indulgence? And this is really interesting here is that we are looking at those trends because it might happen at the level of restaurants and bars and so on, but it's very important for anyone what are interested in trends is to start at that level because we have seen that trends are trickled down from, in fact, restaurants and bar that are after that amplified via the media. And, some people in food service will, use it. And then after that, it will go into, retail. Okay, so let's look at, so the luxury comfort food is the one that, work well with you guys. And then after that, nature perfection. Interesting. And floral cold brew. Okay, so I'm going to speed up. I got the sign that we are going to be pressed on time. Natural goodness. So you have, again, 5 trends. So the first one is tradition meet nature. So that's really the idea of looking at specific traditional time-honored preparation. Think about nixtamalization, let's say, when it comes to Mexican influence, with tacos, for instance, or the mesa, or bone broth. So that's the type of trends that we see. Eco-conscious cuisine, that's really the idea of sourcing local ingredients. People are, and especially younger generation, are very connected to that value. The third one is the mushroom mania. So the idea is that mushroom is really a trend that you see everywhere. You see in cocktail, you see in food service. I don't know if you have Shake Shack, I don't remember in Hawaii, but Shake Shack is kind of a premium, fast casual chain. And they had one of their LTO or limited time offer. Recently there was black truffle that was for the burger. Then after that, it's the passion for preservation. So again, trying to look at natural ways and natural processes that could be ancient, like pickling and fermenting, and that are going to be used, to create, product. And then the last one is selective global sourcing. So yes, on one way, the consumers are looking for local produce, and that resonate with sustainability and be careful about the environment. And then on the other end, they are very curious about ingredients and specific ingredients that come from different areas, of the planet. So in terms of the trends, if you can vote for the one that resonate with you. So we have tradition meets nature, eco-conscious cuisine, mushroom mania, passion for preservation, selective global sourcing. And if it's none, it could be none. Okay. We go. Oh, here we go. Thank you. So passion for preservation, very cool. Okay, and then eco-conscious cuisine. Yep. So local ingredients and some global ingredients as well. Very good. The last platform for the trends is the emotional discoveries. So the first one is about Asian influence. So it's been a trend like the Hispanic influence. Now we have seen the expansion of Asian with hyper-regionalization. When you see country like Cambodia and Laos and the Philippines and Vietnam being much more in the forefront, then we see sauces. So I remember like asking the questions, people in the audience, so people are interested in sauces and dressing. Sauces and dressings and dips and spread is a big trend that is a great vehicle for global flavors. And that element, add a different dimension and creativity, to anything that people can do at home, as well. The third one is the culinary culture combined. So we see here a mix again of different cultural representation and ingredients that are paired. So you could have, let's say, Puerto Rican, let's say, influences and ingredients that is mixed with Texan barbecue, for instance, or a pizza that is going to be done with like Japanese topping. So we see a lot of this, as a trend. So it's not really fusion food. Fusion food was really like a mishmash of a lot of things, and you don't know what you get at the end almost. Here now, it's really pay attention to like either a traditional recipes or an ingredients and making sure that they celebrate, both cultures. The fourth one is nostalgic reinventions. So it's related to looking at what are like the childhood memory and experiences of the consumer target that your product that you are developing for, and trying to understand what resonate with them, what is going to take them back to their childhood, and then you can twist it with something a bit more modern. And the last one, it is kind of like the balance of the big trends that we have seen in the past, that was spiciness. Now, yes, they're still spicy, but it's balanced with some sweetness into it. So sweet and spicy, or we call it spicy. It's a trend that we see big in the US. So last question that I have for you on the trend, and I promise I'll go faster on the flavors. Come on. I see you, three of you, six, one more. Here we go. So the sauce, yep, the dynamic advance, the nostalgic reinvention, okay, and the culinary culture combined. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for playing with me here. Appreciate it. So we are talking about flavors, but you know what? What is a flavor? So flavor is really in everything naturals, that exists out there. If you take, so I use banana, that we already all know. And obviously, when you look at a real fruit banana that you see on the left, then you are going to have 84% of the banana is water. And then you have sugar, you have protein, you have fat, and so on. And you see the flavor aspect. So it's 0.0018% of the total, composition of a banana. When you look underneath it, if we analyze, those flavor components, there's more than 225 flavor substances that participate in nature to give the taste of banana. 225. So, and then, things are changing with nature, obviously. So, for instance, when banana is aging and ripening, then there's new molecules that are formed and that are contribute as well to the flavor. And some of that contribute to this, impression of being sweeter and as it's mature. So when you are, and I'm going to explain to you why flavors and why it matters. after. But when you're looking into creating a flavor, so the nature has more than 225 flavor substances. This is not something that you can really manage. And then flavorists that are people that are trained, as you have perfumers for fragrance. You have flavorists that goes into specific school, how to recognize, all those molecules because there are molecules. We are all made of molecules anyhow. And they can reproduce or they can extract, like flavor substances from a banana. And usually with 15, they can put together a banana flavor. So you see this on the side where this is an example of a banana flavor, which is probably not a natural one here, but where you have, the different example of components and molecules that can create a banana flavor. The one on the bottom down, I took a slide that was from a demo from a flavorist. So usually there's a sample with it or two samples that I do not have here with me, obviously. But why are we doing and why are we talking about flavors? Because obviously, when you are working on a product, and if in your product you have a lot of ingredient that comes from nature, then you are really dependent on what nature can offer. And some of that means that the price, if it's a natural product like vanilla, for instance, from Madagascar, we know that sometime if there is typhoons or hurricanes or and so on, that the part of the culture could be destroyed and suddenly prices goes like skyrocketing high. And so you need to have a way how you can balance this in order to make sure that you can keep the price of your product absorbable by the consumers. So you have less dependence on the natural let's say part, but it still can be a natural flavor. So I come back there. Then obviously you can really manufacture it to a profile that you like. It's obviously cheaper. And there's usually less than 1-on-1 in terms of replacement and better storage stability and you can have a custom profile, especially if you have big volumes of production. So when it comes to flavor creation, here is a pool of young flavorists that we have that are on training. It takes, ages because they need to be able to recognize more than 4,000 chemicals, we call them. I know people are afraid when they hear that terms, but here it means it's just like molecules. So it could be extracted. So, it could be vanilla extract, it could be orange blossom extract and so on, but they need to understand all those ingredients that are there. And they know to recognize them and they know how as well to measure them and which will be the impact at certain level. So, there's more than 700 natural extracts that exist. And of course, they have as well to play with and know the solvent, which is in fact the product that the flavor is going to be, mixed with and put into a finished product. So they are using flavor for what? Is to reinforce the original flavor of a product. We talked about this, the variance of nature. It gives flavors to a food that has not too much flavor on its own. It can standardize, a product that you are manufacturing to make sure that each repetition, each batch is going to be exactly the same. It's extend the shelf life. You can mask off notes because if you are using product with sometime a lot of protein, for instance, it's going to give you the off notes of the protein mix and you need to be able to mask those notes in order to start building, whatever other flavors you want to put on, and so on. You see here some other elements, and obviously we have to look at the cost in use. People have to look about the specific application, and the base. We have to work, with the base given by our customers. All of that is very important. And when you talk about flavors, it's the same jargon that fragrance are using. You probably have heard, when it comes to fine fragrance about top notes and the heart notes, and exactly the same thing here. You have the most volatile component that's going to be the top notes. Then you have the heart notes that give the body. You have the background notes, and of course, you are going to have, the solvent that helps you, make sure that you have all those ingredients in solutions, or in powder form, if it's a powder flavor. So you have big type of flavorings where you have the taste modifier, you have the masking flavor, and of course you have the flavors that are giving like the taste, of whatever it is, if you want a strawberry flavor or vanilla flavors and so on. They could be in different form, liquid, paste, encapsulated, powder blends, emulsion. All of that will depend on what you are including the flavor into. If it's a beverage, you are going to take a water-soluble liquid flavor. If it's a chocolate that you are flavoring, then you're probably going to use an oil-soluble liquid flavor. But you can use as well some encapsulated flavors, maybe in your chocolate, that when the consumers are biting into it, then the capsules will break and you will have an additional burst of flavors. That's what you see sometimes in chocolate tablets and other applications. When it comes to legislation, there's all legislation around the world, and of course they are not all the same. That not makes things very easy for people that are working globally. But obviously here in the US, we are driven by FEMA. You see in red. And then you have all those classification of flavors. So if you have something that you see on the label that says natural strawberry flavor, that means that all the flavor ingredients are from strawberries. If you see something that says natural strawberry flavor with other natural flavor, so the with other natural flavor, it's called WANF, that's the initials. It just means that it is a natural flavor, but not all the component comes from strawberry. Say maybe the flavorist or the customers wanted to have something really special, and they wanted to have maybe a little bit more of a, maybe, I don't know, like an iron note that comes from a raspberry, for instance, in there. So it's still a natural strawberry flavor because most of the component from strawberry, but there is as well some natural ingredients, but we have to say want because they are not coming from the name fruit. And then you see all the others. If you see natural and artificial, then there's only one ingredients coming from strawberry. And if you see strawberry type, this is very important. That doesn't mean that there's absolutely no strawberry whatsoever in that flavor. Okay, and then natural strawberry type, it's still a natural ingredient, but it's not coming from strawberry. So maybe it is maybe it's some of those gimmicky strawberry flavor that we will call it, like, I don't know if you know that confectionery called Haribo from Europe, and you have those strawberries candies. So we call it like Tagada strawberry in Europe because that's the brand. But it could be a natural flavor, but it doesn't contain anything from strawberry. Okay, so that's the different classification of flavors and what flavors are. Now the last part, I think it's very important for you guys, is trying to understand when you have in mind a product that you want to manufacture. If it's a bakery product, if it's a beverage, if it's a dairy product, whatever it is, you need to pick at one moment. You need to say, okay, what flavor am I going to put? If you are a giant manufacturer, out there, you will come to us and for guidance because you do not want to look at the most emerging trend because you have already a product on the market. It's one of the key products. You are making millions out of it, or I would say billions out of it. And you have to be very careful if you want to introduce another flavor. And you are going to be very sensitive about what is maturing in my category that I really need to be aware of. And I do not have anything already under my brand. But for you guys, you are really startups and you are here to shake the market because you have the possibility to excite, the consumers, and you can answer as well what they are looking for and the desire for experimentation. So you could be a bit more adventurous and you can look at more, what are like some emerging flavors, that I should consider. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. Now, this is not from us. This is from a strategy company called Strategizer. We use them for big strategies in the company, but it's very useful. It's very basic, but usually people don't think about it. So you have the circle that is the consumer. So that's your audience. So the consumers, when they are, thinking about, um, buying or consuming or making whatever it is you are doing, they have a job to be done. They said, "Oh, I'm hungry. This is, I want to have a snack. I want to have a bakery and blah, blah, blah." So that's whatever it is, a moment of the day, you need to think about the occasions. That's the customer job. That's what you see completely on the right. And then you have the pain. Usually, when people are consuming a product or they're experiencing a product that they think that they like because it helped them, solve something because they are hungry, because I don't know, they are eating a snack in the car, so it should be not messy. There's all those elements to take in consideration, and that's the gain. So they have a pain and they have a gain to get out of it. So on the other end, you have on the left side, you have the square. The square, it's you guys. And the square is you have to think about your product and service, which is completely on the left. And you have to look at how can I, in fact, relieve some of the pain of the occasions, of my customer. And then as well, what are like, how can I capitalize on what is going to be a gain, on their end. So when you look at, I thought I had product example. Here you go. But when you think about it, understanding your audience is really understanding how you can relieve their pain points and answer their preference. So you can think about what are the biggest challenge or frustration that the consumers experience when they are purchasing, preparing, consuming, whatever it is. I put food category, you have to replace by, your product. And you can, as well have, when you engage with consumers, can you describe a recent experience, where this was a problem? So it's all about gaining insights about what can I help solve? What frustration can I bring down? If you could change one thing about whatever, like, a snack bar, for instance, to improve your experience, what would it be and why? And have you seen or tried a product that solved this issue for you? Because, it's good to look at competition, what's out there. Are they solving, one of the issue from, the consumers? If they are, if, they have, then that's something as well that you can leverage, in the product. So here, of course, we are talking about big companies, but there are recent products that have been launched. The first one have been, with, I don't remember if it's Pepsi or Coke, but this is the Simply Pop, and this is, a product that includes functional benefits with probiotics. That's the big trends, on soda, with, digestive health. The one in the middle is from a snack company, and they have added, high protein content. They have added egg whites and bone broth and, in the formulation of the product. And then the one that I tried not too long ago, in fact, I was at Expo West where I saw Chris, and Chobani launched this 30 gram of protein per serving. This is huge. This is for athletes. I mean, this is not like for me, but I tried the product and I've done a very good job of masking, in fact, the protein, because at 30 grams, you can imagine it's a lot of protein, and usually you should have like the off note and the vanilla flavor, which call it like vanilla ice cream flavor. It's really, really good. It's not ours, but it's good. So they have done a good job, whoever it is. So don't hesitate to have direct interaction with customers. I cannot encourage you more than sample your product. Even if you feel you say it's just the beginning or it's just an idea, talk to people, that you think are going to be the target, listen to their feedback. If you have prototypes after, go to farmers market, local store, festivals, food festivals, organize some tasting events and pop up and invite customers, to try product and share. You'll see a little bit later that big companies, in food service are doing this. I have some stats to share with you. But some ask, you can say, hey, what do you like or dislike about this product? Would you buy this regularly? Why or why not? And how does this compare to what you currently consume? All of this give you a lot of insights in order to continue the development of your product. So here's the example on the left. So it's coming from a recent, in fact, 2025 publication from Data Central, which are it's an agency that really focus on food service and fast casual. Food service, QSR, fast casual, and others. So on the left, it's QSR. On the right, it's fast casual. And I just thought it was interesting to share that with you because, look, on the QSR, the first things that they do on activate a product or even to get feedback is free sample. Then, you look on third, the peer recommendation, feedback from customers, food shows. You see the same thing on the right from fast casual, feedback from customers, food shows, free samples. So, you're not the only one. If giant company are doing it, you guys could definitely do it at your scale and with the tools that you have, and probably like the Innovation Center can direct you to. Don't hesitate to survey. People don't think about it, but use social media, to post questions about anything, any feedback you would like to have about, flavors or ingredients or packaging. You can look at Facebook group that exists. You can maybe connect with local influencers and bloggers. Yeah, I met some of them when I was in Honolulu, for instance. I'm sure that you can collaborate with them in order to for them to introduce your brands to their audience. And then you can use different hashtags in terms of social media. Here I use some of them. I'm not saying that they are the best. I'm not spend enough time in Hawaii. I would love to, but I cannot. But here's some ideas that we always track hashtags. They say that's passé, but to search some information is still very good. And then survey, so you can launch survey on Google Forms. Another one is SurveyMonkey. It's free. You can develop a very quick survey, on SurveyMonkey. So again, I encourage you, to make sure that you do this. Visit grocery store, bakery, coffee shops. That's the way how you can track the trend. Go on Amazon and look at what are like the competitor product that exists, in your category. Go to Whole Foods. That's another important aspect. I wanted to share with you. I think it's I have to be careful on the time here, but it's in there. So I don't know if we want to spend some time, but I put some easy prompt as well in ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a great tool that you can leverage. The important part is what you have at the beginning in red here, the beginning of the sentence. You have to prompt ChatGPT in order to have a good answer. So you use ChatGPT as if it was a consultant. If you go to talk to a consultant, you are going to formulate your questions for the consultants to understand and make sure that he gives you the right, or she gives you the right answer. You do the same thing with ChatGPT. So here, for instance, I wanted to understand the trend, the top trending flavors in beverage in Hawaii. So I said, act as a food market analyst, because then the algorithm is going to really bring you something up that is going to be much more useful that you don't put anything. So here's some example, that I had. It's something that I did like 3 days or 4 days ago. Here, food as a market research analyst, what are the common flavor preference among Gen Z consumers for packaged snacks? So is it completely exact? Probably not, but it gives you enough directions that you can start looking into it and refine after. It gives you a starting point. That's the important aspect. So here I asked them to categorize it by family of flavors, and that's how he gave me the answer. And then I had another one. So here I change. I say, act as a marketing expert in a food and beverage CPG company. How do I differentiate my tropical flavor energy drink from competitors? And then you see here the ChatGPT made the analysis. Here's the competitive landscape. Here's the white space opportunity. And here's the flavors that you could probably, come up with that is going to make your product unique. Again, it's not 100%. You still have to engage with consumers, but at least it gives you a starting point to say, okay, which one should I look at? And if you see here the flavors that are mentioned, they are a bit edgy. They are not those mainstream flavors that you already see in that category. So the last elements is keep in mind LTO, which means limited time offer or seasonal item, are what a lot of companies are doing, giant companies are doing to test their new product. Sorry. So they are launching product for falls, they are launching products for healthy January, they are launching products, for specific occasions that are known by the consumers. I understand they have a lot of money. They can do that very quick. They are very efficient. But when you are thinking about, having a product and you are looking at what's next, having an LTO is the best way. And you can test. And I just wanted to share with you that we looked at 10 years of product launches on the market. And here's the 8 categories that are driving their sales with launch of LTOs. So for some of them, it represents LTOs, the total of the LTOs in a year represents more than 35% of their total turnover. So do not forget about LTOs because it can really change your approach and your strategy when you are thinking about exploring new flavors, for your product. And that's it. I think that was my last slide. Yes. I know I was a little bit long, but I hope I answer some of your questions or a little bit more about flavors.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That was awesome. So does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. We do have some questions pre-submitted, and if you'd like, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Caesar at Hawaiian Soda. Quick question for you. Do you guys sell flavors or are you guys more flavorists? Do you guys like sell the flavor
Yeah, we
systems,
are. In fact,
or
we saw each other at Expo West, no? I think you were there, guy. No?
I believe we did. I believe we did.
Yeah.
Is there a way I could get your guys' catalog and I can take a look at the flavor profiles?
So yeah, so that's going to be we are really not developing flavors on catalogs. I mean, I can put you in contact with the people that are from one division in the beverage in our structure that really work with more like startups and smaller companies. Nothing negative when I say smaller. I don't take it that way. But there's always stories of minimum, order and so on. But yeah, I mean, we manufacture flavors, but most of our business is done on customization for, larger order.
I
Just
get that.
FYI. But
What's your guys' demo queue?
good questions. I don't remember by heart, but I can send you all the information. If
Okay, sure.
if I get your email, you can send me, or you can connect on LinkedIn, or I'm sure the Innovation Center can give you my email.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. So another question that was submitted during in the registration was, what's the best way to find out about consumer trends? You shared some of the top trends, but for like a localized environment like, Hawaii, which has very different trends, or the trends come
Sure.
through at a different timeline, or we have trend more influenced by Asia as well. How do you suggest for small founders to explore trends that that might be more relevant for them?
Yeah. So I think the first of all, I would try to to identify what is my target audience. So if I'm looking at, I want to target like Gen Z and the younger consumers, they are driven, for instance, by um, authentic stories with authentic ingredients, local ingredients with a modern twist. So if I'm thinking about millennials are really people that want to experiment, and it doesn't really matter. They are really open to stretch like their experiences with like unknown, I would say, territory. So as an example, so I think it's very important to understand, who do I want to target? What is like that consumer experience? And then when I know that, then I will go to, again, I was mentioning, go to Amazon, go to Whole Foods, go to a cafe shop, a coffee shop, go to a bakery, to all those companies, and start like looking at, the people that are going there and trying to go to locations that are really developing or selling product for that target audience, or product that you can find on on Amazon or Whole Foods that resonates with those people. That's what I would do in terms of trends. And then sorry, I don't want to keep in mind everything which is QSR, so quick serve restaurants and then fast casual, because that's the most dynamic sector when it comes to food service. And usually they are the one that are the fastest in terms of looking at the trends and bringing a trend into their menu, food or beverage related.
Would you say QSRs are ahead of CPG in some trends?
Yeah.
The
I mean,
different.
we have seen, yeah. I mean, it's different when it comes to a big CPG company for sure. Yes, I would say yes.
And for the audience, CPG stands for consumer and packaged goods. So if you're
Yeah.
selling a packaged food product, you'd be considered a CPG. So all value-added products, so long as it's in the packaging. QSRs are quick service restaurants, like your fast food chains.
Yeah.
So another question, I think that we might have just time for one more, that was pre-submitted is so clarification on creating flavor profiles with the help of flavors using real ingredients, nothing synthetic. I know you had a slide talking us through natural and artificial. Could you clarify on both the messaging piece about that perception?
Sure. So everyone needs to understand that chemistry is not a bad word, and we are all made of molecules. Okay, so that's something very important. There is very strong legislation that exists here with the FEMA that scan like every product. There's, I understand, lists that are different from one region to another, if you take US or Europe and so on. But basically, most of anyhow industry now use natural flavors or natural extract. It's very rare that we have artificial. We have it in very specific cases when it comes to confectionery, because you have to heat the sugar to a certain temperature, and then you lose a lot of the volatile. So the molecules that are a bit heavier being artificial, it's better for this, but it's very, very rare that you see, artificial now. So natural flavor is fine, and the other one is like the extracts, which is most of the time a distillation, of natural substances. When you put, for instance, vanilla flavors, that vanilla beans that you curate, and you put in solutions, and then after that you do a distillation in order to get the extract. But it all depends of your finished product. Sometimes there's room for an extract, and sometimes there's not. It's all depend of the structure, and you know that very well in your lab. So.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Well, with that, we will conclude today's session. Mahalo to everyone for joining us today, and thank you to Emmanuel for giving this very enlightening, insightful presentation on flavor innovation. As shown in the slides, you can find out more about Symrise and Emmanuel's work through his podcast and book. And the podcast recording will be shared on our YouTube channel shortly after, through our newsletter if you haven't subscribed to it yet. And then some announcements for upcoming events